I feel alone, my Abba. Here on this road, my Abba. A long way from home I've traveled. Lord, I just need your light. Where have I gone, my Father? I sing the song, my Father. Your love I will chase after. Lord, I just need your light. I feel alone, my Abba. Here on this road, my Abba. A long way from home I've traveled. Lord, I just need.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the You Are Story podcast. I'm your host, Gabriel Hoff Jr., and it's so good to be here with y'all again. Storytellers, how have y'all been? I know I haven't been posting in a while. It's been a while, and I feel like I say that almost every single episode for like the past 5 episodes. I haven't been here for a while, but you know, the year 2023 was just a really busy year for me. It was, you know, I had a lot of tests, a lot of work stuff, a lot of family stuff. You know, as y'all know, I got into preaching as well and involved more in ministry. So it's just been a really busy year, but God's been faithful in all of it. And he's really opened a ton of doors for myself and has just been, you know, truly blessing me in almost every aspect of my life. You know, haven't made the best choices, haven't been perfect, but God's remained faithful. So that's all you can ask for, right? But yeah, so it's good to be back here with y'all. You know, I'm not even going to waste any time. My guest I have for y'all today, he's a familiar face that y'all have seen on the podcast before. He's a guy who I've known since college, I think freshman or sophomore year of college, and we've had the opportunity to get close over the years, and he's someone who has really been there for me and has helped me out and has just been a really good friend. So I present to y'all once again my homie, Jordan Roten. How you doing, my brother?
I'm good. First, you mispronounced your own last name. You said Huff.
Oh. What? How do you pronounce it?
Isn't your last name Hoff?
Yeah, you're right.
You said Gabriel Hoff Jr.
I go so fast that I miss. You know my name better than I know my own name, man. So it is what it is. That just goes to show, like, you know, what I was just saying. He's a really good friend. You know, friends correct each other, even their own names. So
I don't know if you wanted to re-record that or not, but we can go with it.
Nah, we're like, because here's the thing, man. You know, if y'all remember the last episode that we did, you know, our whole episode was just unplanned. Like, and all the episodes are pretty much unplanned. I just kind of go with the flow. We just kind of go and see where, you know, the Holy Spirit takes it. But I think that makes it more relatable and more authentic when you can make mistakes, because if you try it, there's no perfect podcast episode in existence. There's always something that you can do better, you know?
And that's why Photoshop exists. And you don't do it live, so you can always edit.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I think that just goes to show that I'm not afraid to make mistakes, man. I'm not afraid to, you know, mess up my words. And that helps me with, you know, preaching as well. Because I don't know everything. And so sometimes I go up there and I stumble a little bit over my words. But it is what it is. You know, you just keep going. You live and you learn, right?
Yep. But to answer your question, I'm doing good. We're recording this the weekend before Thanksgiving. So
yeah,
I'm just counting down the minutes until I don't have to work for a couple days and going back to the mountains and getting to enjoy a reset, a couple of days off to finally get away from the computer and enjoy some peace and quiet.
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
I feel that, man, and I think the biggest reason why a lot of places usually have the day after Thanksgiving off, obviously, because, you know, it's a work day and, you know, it's like a day in between a holiday and the weekend. It would just be weird to go in that day. But I think it's also because everybody's just so stuffed of food. It's just impossible to work the next day. You know what I mean? And then you have all those leftovers as well. It's just, I think it's good that they have it off, you know, all those couple of days off and everything.
I only work Monday of this coming up week. I took Tuesday and Wednesday off. So I get to go back up to the mountains, get a nice break from Charlotte, and just get a nice 5-day, 6-day weekend.
Nice.
It's going to be pretty great. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah. And that's the thing about this thing is beeping. I have no idea why it's beeping. I hope that doesn't mean anything bad. Like I said, we don't cut, we don't edit. This is just what we do.
Nothing looks like it's broken on the screen. I don't think it's broken anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh well, we're just gonna keep rolling. Hopefully it works out. But
we record this whole thing. Turns out my mic wasn't on.
Nah, we just keep going, man. I don't, honestly, if I'm being honest, I don't like editing at all. I really
looks
don't
pretty
like doing
terrible to try to edit and all that. I've seen people talk about it. It seems pretty awful especially if you're editing like bits in, like sound effects and stuff. It seems like it's so tedious, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't have all of those. It would be cool to have those things, but yeah, I don't have any of that other stuff. So we just roll. But man, getting back to you, man. You know, as some of y'all may not know, some of y'all may know, some of y'all may not know. I recently had the opportunity to preach at the M28 alumni big meeting, and something I really appreciated was you being there, man, and you know, just seeing you, Bow, and some of the other people that, you know, I've grown close with over the years, and just the support. You know, that's something that I kind of was on my mind to talk about, man, just how supportive you are as a friend, how supportive you are to, you know, always really be there and always have words of encouragement for myself, but at the same time not overdoing it, if that makes sense. Because there's some people who would just agree or say yes with every single thing their friends do. But you, I can tell it's, you know, coming from a genuine place of support. And so I guess, you know, where does that come from, man? Where does that support come from? Why did you come watch me preach this message, my brother?
Well, we originally got dinner beforehand, and I was on the fence if I was going to come or not, because I was pretty tired that day.
Yeah.
I wanted to go home, get in bed early, but it became pretty evident that I was going pretty early on in the dinner. Bow didn't give me a choice. He said, "You're coming." And I was like, "Okay, I'll be there." But in all seriousness, the only reason I came was because you were preaching. If you weren't preaching, I was not planning on going to the alumni night, because the first alumni night they did, there was nothing really, I don't want to say special about it, but it was just like a normal M28 big meeting, but with us old people there. So, like, I mean, Sam or John, the first one, Sam and John still did the message. So it was cool. Like, you're my boy. Like, I had to come watch you. It was one of your first times you've preached in front of M28 or anybody outside of the building we're in. Yeah. So I had to be there. It was the only reason I came. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't planning on going. Yeah, well,
I appreciate that, man.
You're also the only reason I knew an alumni big meeting was happening. I did not know about it. He was like, "Hey, by the way," and I'm like, "Oh, 3 days heads up. Let's go."
Yeah, but I appreciate that, man. I've always enjoyed the alumni big meetings. I think this was the
second.
This is the second one that we went to, because
were there ever one when we were in M28? I don't think there was one.
There was, I think so. I think there was. But this was the second one that we've been alumni at. But I've always enjoyed them because it's a good opportunity to meet some of the older alumni that have been there, done that, and graduated already and stuff like that. And, you know, it's a good opportunity to hear, you know, one of the alumni. I think it's usually one of the alumni, you know, gives the message.
You're right. The first, I retract my previous statement. The first alumni night me and you went to, there was the Sam or John did not preach at it. It was the he wore a pair of Jordans.
Yeah,
they were pretty awesome shoes. Yeah. I don't remember his name, but they were pretty sick shoes. Yeah. So I stand corrected. They do. Never mind. Negate my previous statement.
Yeah, but it was nice, man, and you know, everybody, when you give I guess my first, do you ever have any plans on, like, would you ever have any desire to bring a message or to preach or anything like that?
No, I couldn't. I hate public speaking. It's like my biggest fear. Once there's more than like 5 people in a room, I really do not like talking in front of large crowds, especially when they expect me to say something of value. That's not where I thrive. Yeah. So, no, I don't think that's really in my realm of possibilities unless something radically changes.
Yeah, because the reason I asked that is because what I was about to say was when you and I've asked some of the pastors here, you know, when you bring a message, sometimes you leave it and you're kind of like, man, I don't know if that was the best message. I don't know if I did good. You know, did I preach too long? Did I preach too short? There was something that I meant to say that I didn't end up saying, or there was something I said that I thought was going to be funny. And just kind of all of that. And obviously the main thing is to bring the message to God's people, and to preach the word. Like it says in 2 Timothy, when Paul's charging Timothy, preach the word. That was the message we heard last week at the time we're recording this here at the church. But, you know, sometimes you kind of leave it feeling like, man, that wasn't my best message. But then you hear some of the things that some people say about it. They're like, you know, that encouraged me so much. You know, I appreciated that message. You know, that was one of the best messages that I've heard. And that makes it, you know, all worth it. And that really helps you kind of build up that confidence for the next message and the next message and the next message and so on and so forth. And so you and Bao were kind of my biggest supporters, or biggest, I don't want to say cheerleaders, but y'all are my biggest cheerleaders that night afterwards. And y'all are like, oh, that was good and stuff like that. And like I said earlier, I could tell it was coming from a genuine place. And that's an important thing about having a sincere friendship with somebody, you know, always supporting them, but at the same time, understanding that if that person is in the wrong, you're willing to let them know. But I don't know what I'm trying to say, but long story short, you're supporting them and encouraging them. And that's something that I really appreciated, you know, from you that night, man. So I thank you. I've already thanked you privately, but I thank you, you know, publicly as well for that, bro.
Well, thank you. I've been told I am not one to shy away from providing criticism. So when I do say something was really good, I really mean it. Yeah. And we'll be at work sometimes. We'll do a demo and we're after we're done, I'm like, that was terrible. Like, that went horrible. Nothing was well done. And I'll say that, but like, you legitimately did a great job that night. And I was happy I ended up coming, and that Bao guilted me into coming. But yeah, I have no regrets about coming. It was a great time. You did a great job.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And you know, sometimes when you don't plan on going somewhere or doing something, afterwards, you look at hindsight, and you know how they say hindsight is 20/20. You know, you look back and you say to yourself, you know, that really was worth it. That's why, you know, I went. And that happens a lot in life in general for anybody. So, you know, are there some scenarios where you weren't planning on going somewhere and then you ended up going and you're like, man, that was worth it. I can see why I ended up going there. That was the reason why, you know, God led me to go there.
Oh, well, like I mentioned earlier when we were talking beforehand, is the older I get, the more antisocial I am becoming, and the less I want to be around large crowds of people. But I think when you have close friendships, relationships, it's about, you know, really supporting and caring for people is about, you know, even though you might not want to go somewhere, might not want to do something, it's still about, you know, being there for that person, putting their needs first, and still going out and, you know, being a avenue of support. Yeah. So I try to do that. I try to, when I think it is beneficial, and that I can really, by showing up, I can really provide an avenue of support and encouragement. I really enjoy being there.
Yeah. So. And it goes a long way. I was actually talking to my little brother earlier this morning. I'll just be completely transparent. Yesterday, we got home from one of my brother's basketball games. Everybody was having a good time. Everybody was doing good. And then my brother, Nathaniel, he's kind of a instigator. He likes to, he's the type to where if he's in a bar or something, he'll throw a bottle at someone and then leave the room. He'll watch the chaos ensue and then just leave and kind of peek and watch what's going on. So he's that type of, he does that. And it's innocent because he's still young. He's 12. But he does that. So we were walking in the house and he kind of bumps my other brother, Daniel. And so Daniel pushes him, and we have on our driveway, we have rocks kind of on the walkway to get to the porch. And so he pushed Nathaniel kind of into those rocks, and he could have fallen and hurt himself. And so I got angry, and I hate when I get angry, because when people know me as a person who is chill, calm, smiling all the time, laughing, but I got angry at Daniel, and so I was yelling. I lost my voice and everything. Like, it was bad. And after that, it was just, the rest of the night was just kind of, it was rough, because I hate yelling at my brothers.
How many brothers do you have?
I have 3.
Okay.
3. I don't know why I had to think about that. I have 3 younger brothers. One's 15, Michael's 15, Daniel's 13, and Nathaniel's 12. Mm-hmm. Daniel's about to be 13 in 2 days, actually. So I was yelling at him a few days before his birthday, which makes it even worse. I just realized that. I just realized that, bro. But yeah, so I was yelling at him, and then I felt bad. So this morning, we had a talk, and I was telling him, man, you have to learn. I tell them this all the time. If you allow someone to keep pushing your buttons, all you are to them essentially is a robot that they can control. Yeah. Because how do you start a robot? You push a button, and you push buttons to make the robot do what you need it to do. And so if you allow someone to keep on pushing your buttons and get you out of character, it's as if you're a robot towards them, and they can control you and make you do what you would not, really do. And so I was telling him, Nathaniel, he likes to mess with people, and he knows exactly what buttons to push to make you act out of character. And so you have to learn how to navigate that to where you don't act like that. Instead, you could just kind of ignore it, or tell him in a way, Nate, I don't really like you doing this. Can you please stop? And Nate, he listens, right? But then I was thinking to myself, man, I'm kind of being a hypocrite, because what a big pet peeve of mine is when my brothers are arguing or bothering each other, because I'm like, man, y'all are brothers. At the end of the day, if nobody else has your back, y'all have each other's back. And so it frustrates me when I see them acting like that. But then I'm thinking to myself, man, Daniel overreacted from getting pushed, and now I'm overreacting from seeing the push. So I'm kind of being a hypocrite. I'm allowing that situation to push my buttons. You know what I mean? And so I had to really think about that on the way here. And it was like, man, I can't tell them to practice what I'm preaching if I'm not practicing it myself. And so I had to really think to myself, and I apologized to him and everything. So we're all good. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because at the end of the day, my brothers are brothers, but I also want them to be friends. Like, I want them to really have a friendship, because you're brothers because God put you in each other's lives, but you cultivate a friendship as you continue to grow among one another and support one another and stuff like that. That's why I consider me and you, more than friends. We're like brothers, you know? But yeah, I think the reason I'm bringing that up is because a sincere friendship like that, you can just see the support, and that's what I want from my brothers, and I want that for myself towards them as well. And so you, like I said, you display that, every second we've been friends, you've always just been sincere and everything. And so I know I keep saying I appreciate you, but I'm just happy, I'm just a very appreciative person. So yeah, that whole thing was a learning curve, but
having brothers is fun. I have 2, and your brothers are quite a bit younger than you, right?
Yeah.
You have a sister that's really close to you in age, and then your brothers are. So my older brother's 2 years older than me, and my younger brother is turning 11 tomorrow. So I have a very different dynamic with my older brother than I do my little one, and because me and Jeffrey grew up together, and a lot of the fighting and stuff. As you get older, you kind of age out. Because me and Jeffrey used to just fight all the time. I mean, like fist fights. I he sort of just kicked me right in the face one day.
Man.
And yeah, we used to just get in brawls, and now it's like, you know, we're really close now. And when you have a little brothers as young as your little brothers are to you, and how my little brother is to me, you're kind of like a weird hybrid of a guardian and brother, where it's like, oh, you're more like me when I was that age, and I'd like to realize and admit, because my little brother he has my smart mouth where, and he'll say stuff, and I'm like, that was really funny, and that's definitely something I would have said when I was your age. But now I'm like, you probably shouldn't say stuff like that, but it's really funny, and I tend to laugh more than be the hey, don't say that, don't say that. But yeah, having brothers is a fun time. It's a big blessing, and a lot of chances to self-evaluate.
Yeah, dude. And I was actually telling my mom this a while ago. Having my brothers in my life has really shown me a lot about myself, kind of like what you were saying, that self-evaluation. It really shows you what you are, because the thing is, you kind of like, even the story I told a little bit earlier, you know, you kind of tell your brothers or someone who's looking up to you, someone you're in, you know, kind of influencing, I guess, you criticize them for something that they're doing, but sometimes that makes you realize that you're doing the same thing. Kind of like what I was saying earlier with being a hypocrite. You know, let's say my brothers are yelling at each other, and so I yell at them to tell them to stop. It's like, where are they getting it from? You told them to stop with exactly what you just did, pretty much. You know, and I even sometimes my brothers, they're telling each other what to do, and so they say something like, they're like, "Don't tell me what to do," and I tell them, "You're telling him not to tell you what to do, but you just told him what to do."
You got to start busting out the headlocks, Gabe. You just got to start putting, like, hey, I told you to stop yelling. Just put him in the headlock. And,
like Draymond Green.
Yeah, boom. That's how you solve all your Draymond has showed us the proper way to deal with your problems.
Yeah, exactly. You
punch everybody. That's what Draymond Green has taught us.
You got to fight fire with fire. Nah, but yeah, for real, man. It really does, especially with brothers, us being men and having younger brothers, we really get to, it's an opportunity to see how we react and deal with situations. And you're 23, right?
Yes.
23. And so,
old.
And you said your brother's about to be 11.
Yep.
I didn't mean to put your age out there, man.
No, that's fine. I'm getting old. I know it. I've accepted it.
But yeah, you said your brother's about to be 11.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's a 12-year difference, 13-year difference for a short amount of time.
Yep.
12 and a half year difference just about. So it's almost as if the age gap is so significant for a certain period of time that you're kind of like a parent to them in a way, especially when you were a teenager and he was
a child, like
a toddler. Yeah. It's almost as if you're like a third parent or second parent to him, or another parent to him. And it's something I tell my sister all the time. Having my brothers kind of helps me to prepare for fatherhood in the future, since the age gap is so significant. Yep. And so I'm really glad that God purposed it that way, to where I'm getting to learn how to handle certain situations for the future. Now, if I have a daughter, that's a whole different story. I'm not going to know what the world to do.
I have a stepsister who is a lot older than me, but by the time she was my stepsister, she was in her 20s. So it's like, I have no idea what it's like being around or a sister or attempting to raise that. That'd be stressful.
Yeah.
I'm more equipped to raise a son.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause we having that age gap between our younger brothers, it kind of helps us prepare for that. And then even when you get older, you know, you'll have your brothers who will be uncles to if you have a son, your son who can help you out as well. But yeah, if I have a daughter, man, it's going to be learning all over. It's going to be learning all over again.
I remember being a freshman in high school playing basketball with my dad, and my little brother's just learning how to walk, and he's walking around the park we're playing at, trying to, with his arms straight up in the air, trying to balance himself walking around.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. He's my gauge of knowing how old I'm getting. I was like, I remember when you were a year and a half old, couldn't talk. Now you're 11, and that means I am in my mid-20s. And yikes. Time flies.
It does, for sure.
It flies.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. And you see, I mean, you're a tall guy. If y'all don't know, y'all can't really tell because we're sitting down. He towers over me. He's like, what, 6'3"?
Yeah.
6'3".
It's my most important personality trait, is being tall. It's the most useful personality trait that I have.
And it's funny. I remember the last episode, I think when we were talking about it, you were saying that your height kind of makes you a little bit goofy in certain situations.
Yes, very goofy. I trip over myself to this day a lot. It's really embarrassing when you're out in public, and I guess I don't lift my feet up a lot when I walk, and I tend to drag like the ball of my foot or on my toes.
Yeah.
And I'll just trip. I'll just like stumble over myself. I'm like, this is embarrassing. But maybe it's just part of being tall.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Which I wish I was taller, but you know, it is what it is. Why did I bring that up? I forget why I brought that up.
You need me to reach something on the top shelf for you in here? Is that why?
Nah, whatever. Like I said, unplanned, right?
Yep.
That's the way we roll. But yeah, it going back to something that we were talking about in the first episode, kind of relating to what we were just talking about a few minutes ago as well. I remember you said you grew up in a small town. Where was that again?
Allegheny County.
Allegheny.
North Carolina, baby.
That's it. Yeah, Allegheny. Yeah, and I was like, Allegheny? What? I never heard of that before.
No one has.
Yeah, but would you say that, I guess in preparation for helping to raise your younger brother or be kind of like a role model or someone who he can look up to, did you have men in your life growing up that helped prepare you for something like helping to take care of your younger brother, or is it something that you had to learn on the fly?
Ironically, the 10 to 12 year age gap, like me and my little brother have, runs pretty commonly in my family. Both my parents are significantly younger than the rest of their siblings, so I have cousins who are 10 years older than me. And then there's me, and then 10 to 12 years later, there's my little brother.
Yeah.
Then theoretically, when I have kids, he'll probably be like 14, 15.
Yeah.
And then it's a nice little cycle of 10 to 12 years. So I've always had older people and then people that weren't as much older than me. So I think the value of having someone, in that 8 to 12 year range is they've been where you're at in life a lot closer than the old people have. And times change a lot.
Yeah.
Like think about how much like this school has changed since we were, my girlfriend is a teacher. They don't do letter grades anymore.
What do they do?
Like their progress reports are like massive packets of like when we were in school, we just got letter grades. It's like, A, you're good. B, you're kind of good. F, you suck. Like, what are you doing? It's like, but like now it's like they don't even do like letter grade. Like times have changed so much.
Yeah.
Which irritates me because my dad likes to tell me my little brother's smarter than me than I was when I was his age. And I'm like, don't tell me that. We don't know. Like the standardized testing's different now.
Yeah.
And he's homeschooled. So like he'll never take the standardized test that I had to take. There's no fair way of determining if he's smarter than me or not.
Yeah.
My dad knows it irritates me a little bit, and Brentley will talk smack about it too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's an interesting point that you made with the different levels of age gaps in your family. It's similar with my family as well. I have some cousins that are, 30s, about to be 40 in their 40s.
Yep.
And then there's my brother, who's one of the youngest. He's 12. And so huge, almost 30-year age gap between, some of the my oldest cousins and, the youngest cousin, which I think is my brother. Not including like great grandchildren.
Yeah.
Because it's strange because my younger brothers, they're around the age of the great grandkids because my older cousins, they've had kids at around the same time my parents had my brother.
So on my mom's side, I'm still the youngest member on my mom's side of the family.
Really?
No, none of me and my brother or any of our cousins have had kids yet on my mom's side, so I'm still the baby.
Wow.
At this rate, I'm going to be the one that starts the next generation. But it's and then on my dad's side, there are great grandkids, my little brother. So I'm far from being the youngest on that side, but on my mom's side, I'm still trucking along as the baby.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that's interesting because with that gap again, it not only do you have your parents and I have like my uncles as well. Mm-hmm. Do you have a lot of aunts and uncles?
Two uncles, 2 aunts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But long story short, there's just been so much wisdom, so much different walks of life, so many people who have done different things to help out, and that's all contributed to me raising my brothers. And obviously there's most of what I do comes from the Bible anyways. Yep. At least I would like to I strive to be like that. Yeah. Because we're not perfect, and we still make the wrong choices and stuff like that. But most of what I try to share with my brothers comes from the Bible, and then also pulling in from wise counsel from my family, obviously from people in the church. So there's always been a radius of great influence around me to help me out. And it's good to know that it seems like that's how it is for you as well in raising your brother as well.
I'm humble enough to admit that I've not always been a great influence. Before I became a Christian, I was guilty of, I am at fault for my little brother saying his first curse word. I will humbly admit that. And, I was not a Christian boy for a long time. And when he was younger, I would not really watch what I'd say around him. And I remember him being 3 and he dropped something. He could barely talk. And I was like, guys, you're overreacting. He can barely talk. He doesn't understand what I'm saying. And he dropped something and you just hear him go, oh. And I'm like, that's on me, guys. I'll admit it. I was like 15, 16 at the time. Yeah. I'll admit it. That's on me. Yeah. I'll take full responsibility. But I like to think these days I'm a lot better of an influence on him and a lot more of a godly influence on him at that. Yeah.
But that's actually a good thing because he gets the opportunity to see you continue to grow and develop and get more responsibility, grow in maturity and all that stuff. It's really helpful for your brothers to see those mistakes that you may have made. Because I know a lot of people, they think the only way that you can gain wisdom is through experience. I've been reading through the book of Genesis, and obviously we know that story with Adam and Eve eating the apple and everything. Not apple, but fruit. Yeah. Who knows what type of fruit it was, but it said fruit. But yeah, Adam and Eve eating the fruit, and something that my Bible notes were saying was that a lot of people feel that wisdom can only be gained through experience. Like when some people would say something like, oh, don't touch the stove. Don't tell someone don't touch the stove because that's going to make them want to touch the stove, which in some aspects that's true. But at the same time, I think it's better to help someone not touch the stove at all versus get burned and have to learn through that experience,
Been there. I put my whole right hand on a burner when I was like 7. I learned very quickly, don't touch the stove.
Yeah. But yeah, it's I don't think there's a lot of things that I think people do and they'll say, all those experiences, which is true. Don't get me wrong. That's true. But at the same time, having been through those things, it's a great opportunity to share with the next generation or some other people, hey, I've been through this and I don't want to see you go through the same thing. So let me help guide you into a different way, because you can gain wisdom through other people as well.
Yep.
That have, been through certain things. You don't always have to go through, you don't always have to do something to learn about it. We have never drowned because we're still here, but we know that drowning is a possibility if you stay underwater too long.
I can't swim, so it's always a possibility for me. I'm one like just swift push into a pool, and I can't swim. It's too deep. I'm done. So
no, I can't swim either. I can move. Like if I'm underwater, I can move.
Yeah.
I could get to one spot to the other, but it's just a matter of if I have enough air in my lungs left before I get to that spot.
Same. That's the perk of being 6'3", or most pools aren't deep enough for me to drown in. Emphasis on most. There are some, but
there are some that are really deep. But yeah, man, you don't always have to experience something to learn that that's what you shouldn't do. So the point of me bringing that up is I think it's a good thing that your brother got to experience that. Mm-hmm. Even though technically it was through experience, he said that
he didn't get in trouble for it. I got in trouble for him saying it, which is fair. He's 3. He doesn't know what that's a bad word. At 3, you probably don't comprehend what bad words are.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I think everybody's been there too. I remember I was playing on the PlayStation one time, and I sent a message to somebody who had beat me in 2K. And I didn't delete it, and my dad called me downstairs one day, and he read it out to me. Like, he just read, and I think that makes it, sometimes that makes it more impactful. Let's say a couple is going to couples therapy. Mm. Sometimes you have to hear somebody say something from something else to really get it. So the therapist could say the same exact thing that the husband or wife has been saying for a long time, but you don't really process it until you hear somebody else say it.
Yep.
And so it really processed for me in that moment when I heard my dad read it to me. Like, he just read the full sentence, and looking back, me and my sister laugh about it to this day. We're like, buddy, they call me buddy. She said, buddy, that didn't even make sense what you said. It just, and I was like, yeah, I know. But yeah, I think, everybody, I think a lot of people experience that because you're young. You hear something and you don't know what it means, and you say it. I've been there before. I said a cuss word to my cousin one time, and he told my grandma and my mom, and they sat me in timeout for the rest of the day. But it's helpful when your brother can see your progression, and you can help him, get to that place or even farther along. Yep. Because he's seen it, and you're explaining to him, why this may not be the right thing to do, why you should maybe want to go this way instead of that way, and stuff like that. So I think it's nice to be transparent with your brothers in that way. I try to let my brothers know when I'm in the wrong. Yep. Just so I can tell them, instead of just telling them, you need to do this, letting them know, okay, you may not want to do this, and here's why. Mm-hmm. So, and along with them growing up with you and seeing you progress, I think it helps out a ton as well in that way, man.
And that's again, kind of having someone in the middle ground between you and your parents of an age close to yours is beneficial. Because by the time my little brother's old enough to date, which is like 4 or 5 years, my dad's going to be a dinosaur. What advice is my dad going to be able to give him that is canon for 2026, 2027 dating?
Yeah.
It's a long time since my dad's been in the dating pool.
Yeah.
So it's being a little closer in age, you can give him advice because it's a lot different now than it was, back when our parents were young, with the prevalence of dating apps and just how much the world has changed and the dating culture has changed. Yeah. Being, able to give advice from someone a little closer in age, I think is beneficial.
Yeah. And you could give him an evolved advice as well, like a version 2.0, because I'm sure your dad gave you advice, throughout your life of dating and stuff like that. And so you kind of have that old school dinosaur advice, but you've also been in the new generation as well and gotten to experience firsthand the kind of the dating game in the world and everything. And, you know, with you having a girlfriend now, you know, having that experience as well. And so you have that, you know, that old school knowledge from your dad, and you have the experience from being in this generation. So now you can merge the two and, you know, kind of marry those two things together and give it to your brother in a way where he'll be unstoppable, you know? When I say unstoppable, I mean in a way like he'll know how to navigate. You know, he'll know how to navigate. So he'll be good, man. He'll be good.
Back in our parents' day, you took her to the, you know, the ice cream shop, the ice cream parlor, and
when times were simpler,
times
bro.
were simpler.
I don't.
You paid 25 cents for a gallon of ice cream.
So I don't know if you've seen it. There was this list that came out of there was a woman who made this list of places that a guy should not take me on a first date.
I saw that.
You saw that?
Yeah, the Golden Corral was on the list. And I'm like, you know what? That's the one I'll kind of agree with. I don't like Golden. I have a personal gripe with Golden Corral.
Oh, we're gonna have to talk about that, man.
Okay, when you go there and you just see a kid chuck his fish into the chocolate fountain, pull it out and start licking it, and then stick it back for seconds, it kind of just changes your whole perspective on Golden Corral. And if I want to eat there in the future,
yeah, that makes sense. I've never seen a kid. I've never seen a kid put his hand in it, but I've heard from some of my friends similar things where they see people not having the most proper
hygiene,
public eating etiquette when they're at all you can eat dining places like that.
Yeah. Back to your previous point of the list. I didn't mean to interrupt on my Golden Corral tangent.
No, you're good. I love Golden Corral. I'm sorry. Y'all
I did until that moment. That it kind of ruined it for me.
That makes sense. That makes sense. But I'm always have love for Golden Corral. The chicken, the mac and cheese is. I think it's Stouffer's mac and cheese. I don't know if they actually make it. A lot of the stuff they probably don't actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't know. I don't. But nothing against you, Golden Corral. I love you. If you want to sponsor this, go ahead.
I mean offense. I mean offense by it.
But yeah, the list was crazy, man. It like every restaurant in the book, bowling was on there, the movies was on there, just so many things. Yeah. So it's one of those. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go?
Interesting fact: I did with my current girlfriend. I went to an ice cream parlor on our first date.
Dude,
took it simpler times.
Yeah, because there's so much placed on where we go instead of the experience. Because you could have the best time with someone that's extreme. I was gonna say in an alley. That's extreme. But you could you could have a great experience with somebody at an ice cream shop. You know, because especially if y'all both like having good conversations, you know, you could have a great time. It doesn't always have to be the most luxurious place.
Yep.
And there is a place for that, you know, where you could, you know, maybe both of you really like that place and y'all want to go. There's nothing wrong with that. I think the problem lies where it's solely on, I guess,
the aesthetics of it all.
The aesthetics,
the status of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way our culture is kind of now, and how I do think social media has spun it that way where,
big
you know,
time.
A lot of people, everything they do is photographed so they can post it later. And I guess no one wants to be photographed at Golden Corral on a date. Maybe not, but I think it's just trying to say it's a lot more about the company than it is what you're doing. That's with, relationships, you know, what you do on your free time, like hang out with your friends. Like you don't always have to go to expensive venues, loud bars, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like me and my friends, typically we're hanging out at someone's apartment. Yeah. And, you know, there's not overbearingly loud music. And it's just like, it's a place where we're able to enjoy each other's company, watch some football, and just have a good time. And that's essentially what it's about. It's not about going to the most extravagant places or doing the most like extravagant things. It's about just enjoying the company of the people you're with.
Yeah. And if you, my friend Dalton, he was on here a while ago, and he was saying that a lot of times we see relationships nowadays, whether friends or, romantic relationships, a lot of it is kind of based on proximity nowadays to where you're only friends with that person when you're doing a certain activity. Like, let's say you're making your wedding list. Oh, that's my basketball guy. I got to invite him to the wedding. And he may be an important person in your life, but are y'all only friends on the court, or do y'all have a relationship outside of that? And so, with relationships, if the only time you could really have a good time with somebody is when you're at an expensive because you could go to an expensive restaurant and have the worst day ever, because the person could be on their phone the whole time. They could. People have mixed opinions about this, so I'm just gonna say what I do. I usually like to take care of the bill
on a first date. Yes, I agree. I agree.
Now,
I'm a pretty traditional guy in that aspect. I do fundamentally believe that most of the time I'm taking care of the bill.
Yeah. And then as the relationship progresses and stuff like that, y'all could start both contributing to that and stuff like that. But why did I bring that up? Long story short, like you said, I like what you said. I think we've put too much of an emphasis on the environment or the experience over the company of the person. And I think that's what's really gonna take that relationship or friendship beyond the walls of where you're at, beyond the walls of the gym, or beyond the walls of the restaurant, or beyond the walls of the movie theater or other places like that. And if you can have a good time just sitting in the apartment talking to someone for hours, I think you're in a good spot.
I can talk for a long time if you get me going, especially if I'm watching the Pittsburgh Steelers play football. I can get on tangents that can last a long time.
Yeah, I got to introduce you to this guy I work with. He's a Steelers fan also, and it's crazy. I saw a stat. It was like y'all have had more yards against and rushing and passing yards against, but y'all have a winning record, which is
every
crazy.
Game this year we have been outgained. Like the opponent has gained more yards than us in all 9 games, but we're 6-3, and that's what matters.
Hey, you're in a good spot, man, because if y'all are 6-3 and then it picks up, who knows?
We got an easy part of the schedule coming up, so we can make the playoffs.
I'm happy for y'all, man, because the Panthers, they're not.
Oh, y'all are terrible. I went to the Panthers Colt game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was
brutal.
I called the 2 of the pick sixes he threw in that game.
Really?
I sat there, I'm like, he's gonna throw a pick 6 next drive. Boom. I was like, this is great.
Yeah. Bryce Young, if you ever listen to this, man, I love you, brother, and I'm wishing nothing but the best for you. And
he'll be fine. I think Bryce Young will be fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine. That he has way too much talent, man. He'll be good. But yeah, man, those having sincere friendships and a sincere, relationship like that, it'll really go a long way. And that's part of what I was telling my brother today too. He's the captain for the basketball team this year, and he's been really enjoying that and appreciating that, and it's a great achievement for him.
Yep.
And I let him know, that's a great accomplishment, that's a great achievement, and I like seeing my brothers happy. So what makes them happy makes me happy. So, whatever they're doing, I'm all for it. But I was telling him, he's kind of been getting, and this is Daniel. I just let it be known. It's Daniel. Daniel, it's you. But I love them. I do it during my sermons too. I just, if it's my brothers, I'm going to say who it is.
Yeah.
But as long as it's something that's not like detrimental to their character, this is just, a story. But, he's kind of been having a little bit of pride with his new role on the team as the captain, being a starter and everything. And so
take him out to the courts and humble him. beat them 11 to nothing. Let them know what's up.
Yeah.
That's my goal. I'm going to stay just good enough in shape that I can always beat my little brother.
Man,
in every sport he tries. That's the dream.
Yeah, it's crazy how that's like that's a common big brother trait, because you want the best for your brothers, but there's part of you that still has a competitive edge over them. It's like, don't forget, I can always.
Yep.
If we need to go there, we'll go there. I can always still win, you know.
Oh, and I'll never let him win. I get that from my dad. I was a junior in high school before I ever beat my dad one-on-one in basketball consistently.
Wow.
Yeah, he made me earn it. He never let me win a game. He had to earn it. So that's a mindset I will keep with both my little brother and my sons, is that you will earn it when you beat me. It's so much better when you earn it.
Yeah.
Like, you did it.
And that's a good thing too, because obviously you want to support them and encourage them, but you also have to let them know nothing is just given like that. You gotta, there's just certain things in this world you gotta earn. Obviously every good and perfect gift comes from up above, comes from God. But at the same time, there are some things that you got to put the work in. You know, if you want to be a good basketball player, you got to practice. You got to challenge yourself. Crazy thing. To this day, I've never beaten my dad. But we also haven't played in a while. We haven't played one-on-one in a while. Now it will probably be more evenly matched because. But
your dad's taller than you, so I'm taller than my dad, so that really does help.
Yeah, and my dad's taller than me, and he's always been skilled. Like my dad just lives, breathes. Well, not too much anymore because he's gotten older and has a lot more responsibility. But he's always just been and to this day, like I'll tell anybody, I truly believe. If my dad had the opportunity, he would have made it to the league.
Yeah,
I really do think that he was that dedicated. But to this day, I've never beaten my dad. But we got to let them know, man. There's some things where, God gives grace for you to achieve things, but at the same time, it's one of those things where, let's say you ask God for wisdom, but you just never put yourself in a situation where you can grow in wisdom. You don't, hang around people who, just have more experience than you and just are able to give that wisdom. You don't read your Bible for 10 years, stuff like that. How are you going to grow in wisdom? And God's very much capable of snapping it into you. But I think he desires a genuine process of that. I think he wants us to put in the work to grow in wisdom, because it's there, it's available to us. It's just, are we willing to grab hold of it? And I think, and I'm not trying to sit here and say, practicing will get you to the NBA or the NFL. We have to be realistic. It's a 1% type of thing. 1% of the people make it to the league, in any league really. But at the same time, if it's something that you truly want and you're not, working, you're not putting in any type of work, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to get there. It's already hard to get there with the best players in the world. So, you just got to put in that work. But I forget back to the story I was saying with my brother. What I was telling him was, yes, you've accomplished a lot of these things. You're the captain. You're a starter on the team. That's amazing, and I'm proud of you. And that's just one of the things that makes you who you are. But at the same time, when you leave your middle school, I'm willing to bet that more people would remember you for how you treated others than you being on the basketball team.
Yes.
More people will remember you for how you treated your friends, how you got, you impressed your teachers and stuff like that, than you scoring 15 points in the basketball game. Because players are going to come and go, but how you made people feel, that's a feeling that lasts for many years, if not a lifetime.
Oh yeah, unless you're good enough to go like high level college ball, no one remembers you at the high school level. Like no one from Allegheny County is going to remember me playing 4 years of basketball there. No one cares. Like it's 1A high school basketball. Like it was cool, But like
Yeah.
you can't let that be stuff that defines your life.
Exactly.
High school athletics, because most people aren't going to play college athletics.
Yeah.
And you're just going to come and go. And you won't probably, I would hope people would want to be remembered for better things than just high school athletics.
Yeah. And you can't find your identity in those things, because if your identity is in those things, once it's over, you kind of have a loss of direction. You don't really know what's next.
You live vicariously through your children and relive the glory days. Don't do that. Don't do that, people.
Yeah, don't live through your kids. Don't. And I'm not a parent yet, so take this with a grain of salt. But at the same time, these are things that my dad has told me as well. My dad, he's tried to, and same thing with my mom too. They proactively don't try to live through us, because your parents, they should want better for you, but they should also want to support you in what you want to do as well. But yeah, don't live vicariously through your kids.
There's always a kid on the sports teams that you can tell doesn't really want to be there, especially when you're like young.
Yeah,
and it's like, but you can tell like mom and dad are making them be there.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of an example. I'm sure Nikola Jokic loves basketball, but there's sometimes where you just see him and it just seems like he's bored.
He wants to be back in Serbia on his horse farm. That's what he wants to be doing. I respect it. He just plays basketball as a hobby.
That's what it seems like. Yeah.
As soon as it's over, he goes back to Serbia, horse farm.
Yeah.
And I respect that.
Yeah, like he lost his finals MVP trophy or something like that, and they had to find it for him.
But he's not here. He's on his horse farm. Yeah. And I respect that.
Yeah.
It's a man who values the little things in life.
Exactly. But it also goes to show that he's a man who doesn't seem like he puts his identity in what he does or, his job. Because yes, professional sports, that's a career and stuff, but it's also, a job that you do. So yeah, he just seems like he enjoys life. He doesn't place his identity in those things. And, yeah, even going back to what we were talking about with relationships, I think it's also an identity issue when you feel that you are not receiving what you think you deserve because you're not going to the most lavish restaurants or anything like that, or you aren't with a supermodel, on the guy's side, because it goes both ways. It's not just women; it's men and women who have identity issues in relationships to where you feel like your identity is rooted in having this lavish soft life, and you turn down a bunch of good guys because they may not necessarily give you what you think you deserve, and on the guy's side you feel that you deserve the most beautiful woman on planet Earth. There's always going to be someone who physically, I guess, is I'm trying to be careful with my words here.
There's no perfect person out there is what you're trying to get at.
Exactly. Thank you. There's no perfect person, but there is someone that's perfect for you, I would say. So
I think that takes self-reflection to realize, like, I think most people that want that perfect person probably have an idea in their head that they're also this perfect person. I'm well aware I am far from that. And I think, once you have that through your head, you realize like everyone you interact with is going to have flaws. Some people are going to be quick to anger. Some people are going to be stubborn. Some people are going to have very short attention spans. People are going to have various social economic standings. Yeah. But I think when you really value the characteristics of a person's rather than the positives of the person rather than overwhelmingly looking at the negatives, what they don't offer, you will have a lot better relationships with people. Yeah,
exactly. And when you have that self-reflection too, I think a lot of times we project on to people our own insecurities about ourselves. And so, kind of like what I was saying earlier, part of the reason that I was yelling at my brother the other day, I realized that I wasn't even really that mad at him. I was kind of mad about myself. One, because I was being a hypocrite in that moment. And then two, also recognizing I'm not perfect and it frustrates me. If I'm being honest, 2023 was probably the hardest year of my life.
Okay.
Not in terms of like struggles like, that you would see on the outside, but just internally. I've been growing in ministry and stuff, and I've kind of had this wrong impression of myself. Like, I need to be this perfect Christian. I'm preaching.
Yep.
I need to practice what I preach, all day, every day. And so I can make the littlest mistake and it eats at me. And I'm like, dang, like I messed up. Like I'm not. And so me yelling at my brother is kind of me projecting my insecurity upon him because he wasn't doing the right thing in that moment. And I'm frustrated at myself because I don't always do the right thing. But like you were saying, nobody's perfect. We're not always going to do the right thing. That's something that I need to, continue working on in myself. But I keep forgetting what we're talking about.
Yeah, I have that effect on people. I'm bad for sidetracking conversations, and you revisit it 5 minutes later down this rabbit hole and realize you have no clue what we were originally talking about.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things about myself. It's my ability to derail every conversation.
That's a good thing, though. It's a gift for sure.
I think it is. I think other people would disagree.
Yeah, but it self-reflection. Yeah, so it's important to have a self-reflection and realize where you're at. And you're not projecting that, because if you think you're perfect, you're going to feel like you deserve someone who's perfect, and you could just bash them for any little thing that they do, which is unhealthy, obviously. And, it's not going to lead to anything good. And so in any relationship, whether friendship or, you're a significant other, when you are self-aware and you're self-conscious of, where you're at, and you're honest with the other person where you're at, it can really help go a long way, especially if you're both being honest where you're at, and you could help one another, support one another, and lift one another up and stuff like that. So yeah, that's really important. Something that I also
think the idea of everything should be self-serving is very prevalent in our culture, that, relationships, friendships, everything should be very self-serving, that you should be, if someone's not offering value to you, then why are they in your life? And it's like, I think that's a shallow way to look at things. And I think when you focus on rather the value you can bring to others and the good you can do for other people in their lives, I think that'll also tend to motivate people to change the way they look at things and realize that the world doesn't revolve around you. We're all just kind of cogs in this machine that revolves around the Lord, and the Lord's the center of all things. Like the world, I think the one thing I think people struggle to realize is that, no matter how important someone thinks they are, when we die, the world's going to keep turning. And it's like, the world's not stopping for anybody, and you just got to keep trucking along. And, the world's not going to stop to serve you because you can't, lace up the bootstraps and keep pushing forward. Yeah. And I think once you realize that it's better to serve others and expect the whole world to serve you, it's a much happier approach to life.
Yeah, because it becomes something that you eventually enjoy doing. So it's like knocking out two birds with one stone, because by serving others and putting a smile on somebody else's face, that in turn puts a smile on your face because you enjoy doing it. And so it really helps. And that's what Jesus taught. Like, he washed his disciples' feet. The Lord, the Savior of the world, Jesus Christ, God manifested in the flesh, was on his knees washing his disciples' feet and setting an example. And it wasn't like he was just doing that, just like he was not only setting an example, but he was being genuine and, transparent, vulnerable in that moment. And so that's an example for us, showing us, what really is important. Because when you have a heart that's willing and have a desire to serve others, that can go a long way. Something even as simple as Chick-fil-A saying "my pleasure," that can go a long way. Versus, no offense, but at some of these other places,
they just hurl the bag through your window at the drive-through. It's just like they just chuck your French fries through your window and say, "Get going."
you don't even have time. Like I was at cookout the other day.
Oh, you poor soul going to cookout voluntarily. That's bold.
Yeah, I'm trying to not eat it too much anymore. But yeah, bro, like you don't even really have a chance to ask for barbecue and ranch anymore. Cause you see, and you never know what anybody's going through. So I try not to judge people, but you see kind of the attitude a little bit, and it doesn't really make you just want to leave. You don't even want to, it makes me not even want to ask for a barbecue and ranch. So I'm just like, this person, they don't seem like they're, in the best mood. So I don't even want to bother them anymore. And like I said, you don't know what people are going through. They could maybe going through a tough time, tough situation in their life. They may just have been having a bad day, but still it's, talking about service, not only is service important, but I think having a good, genuine attitude about it makes it go a long way as well. And I'm not judging that person because like I said, they could have been going through something, but just in general, let's say you give somebody a present and it's kind of just here, like you throw it at them. You still got the gift, but there's just something about when service is genuine, and you can really tell that it's in someone's heart to serve you in this way, in this moment, that makes it go the extra mile. And that's kind of like what I was saying earlier with my brother. How you make people feel can really go a long way. And even something that one of the pastors here, Pastor Bernard, he was telling me, when giving the sermons, it's good to exegete the scripture and it's good to preach the word. That's all important, and that's what you should be doing. But there's also an aspect of wanting the people to feel good as well. And not every message is going to feel good because you have to preach about sin. You have to preach about the wages of sin. The wages of sin is death. But you also have an opportunity to preach about the good news. The gift of God is eternal life. Romans 6:23. And so there it's a balance for sure. But when it comes to service, and you can tell that someone is, really genuine about serving you in the way that they are, I think that goes a long way to help build up somebody's mood and stuff like that. And I think it's contagious, honestly. I think it's, a feeling that can be transferable, and can help make someone that's having a bad day turn their whole day around. And so I think the attitude behind that service goes a long way as well. And I think that's an important thing to take into account also. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I also think there's a level of, I don't want to say arrogance because I don't think that's the right word. But this idea that no one's allowed to, like if someone hurts your feelings or like wrongs you, even if it's intentional or on purpose, like how dare they? They're the worst person on the planet. And it's like, I think it's Matthew, they talk about like, Peter's like, what if someone wrongs me 77 times? And this is not the exact wording, but Jesus is like, I don't care if they wrong you 77 times. It's like there's still an element of forgiveness. And it's like, everybody you interact with at one point or another is going to hurt your feelings. They're going to say something that irritates you, hurts you in a way. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. It doesn't mean that, they hate you or that they deserve to be hated now on your behalf. It's just the reality of interacting with people. No one's perfect. There's always going to be, if you know someone and every time they see you, they kick you in the nards. I understand if you don't want to go, 77 times of getting, kicked in the nards every time you see this person, but it's an element of like forgiveness. And it's just like, after a while I can understand it, but some people it's like they do one or two things to you and they act like it's the end of the world, and it's not. It's you forgive, you move forward, because reality is none of us were worthy of the forgiveness God gave us.
Yeah, exactly.
But yet we still got it. And even as Christians, we still sin and fall short every day, like Romans 3 tells us we're going to. But there's an act of continued forgiveness from God towards us that we as people sometimes are too arrogant to believe that someone's not worthy of my forgiveness. And I think that is something that kind of falls on what we were talking about of this like true service to other people.
Yeah. And forgiveness is an act of love as well. When I preached on the fruits of the Spirit, one of them was patience. One of the fruits of the Spirit is patience. And in the King James, it used the word long suffering, which I really like that word long suffering, because if you have a friendship or relationship that you desire to be long term, there's going to be points in time where you have to suffer through the relationship a little bit, because they may be annoying you. They may have said something that you don't like. They may have done something that you don't appreciate. But, are y'all going to, talk about it? Are y'all willing to forgive and continue the relationship? Because the relationships that you truly desire, it's naive to think that a relationship or a friendship isn't going to have any types of bumps or bruises along the way. There's always going to be some type of pothole that you're going to hit and may mess up the alignment of your car for a little bit. But, there's a reason why you can go get your car realigned. You can always realign with that person and get back on the same track. So that goes back to the self-reflection as well, understanding that you're not perfect, understanding that you weren't worthy of of God's forgiveness.
Yeah.
And so I don't think there's a wrong you can do towards someone that is worse than our sin being upon Jesus on the cross. And that may seem like a strange thing to say.
He took all of sin of man. He bared it once.
Yeah, like what I'm saying is he endured way more than what someone does to us. And I'm not saying that you have to forgive someone and be best friends with them, but even if you never talk to the person again, you can still forgive. And that's such a hard thing for a lot of people to grasp, even me, because I think about it. I think about, let's say someone were to hurt my mom or my sister. It would be hard for me to forgive that person. If someone hurt my dad or my brothers, anybody in my family, someone I'm close to, it would be very hard to forgive that person. But then I also have to think about what Jesus endured on the cross, because I'm just dealing with the sin that person did towards me. Jesus had to, like you just said, had to have all of the sin of everybody upon him on the cross. In that moment, having God kind of turn his back on him because of the sin. Yeah. That's the worst thing anybody could ever experience is separation from God. So imagine Jesus experiencing that in that moment. That's hard. Yeah. And so, but when you realize that you were forgiven, I think that can help you to forgive others as well. And, like I was saying, forgiveness is an act of love. There's this verse that I really like. I believe it's 1 John 3:14. I don't want to get people wrong. I got the Bible right here. You already know we had to pull out the Bible at least once during this thing, man. I think it's 1 John 3:14, and I have it memorized in King James, but it says, we know that we have passed from death unto life because we love the brethren. Any man who loveth not his brother abideth in death. And so forgiveness, there it goes. We know that we have passed from death to life because we love each other. Anyone who does not love remains in death. Forgiveness is a part of love. I don't think you could have love absent of forgiveness. And so not only is that important, it's also an important aspect when it comes to our growth and sanctification as Christians, because, the Bible is plain here telling us that, being a new creature, 2 Corinthians 5:7, we're starting to roll off a bunch of scripture now. 2 Corinthians 5:17, therefore, if anyone be in Christ, he's a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. Yep. A part of growth as that new creature is that forgiveness, I think, and that all is rooted in love. And so I think that's an important thing. And I don't mean to ramble on here, but I think that's, so important when it comes to just being a believer and just relationships with people, being willing to, forgive. You don't necessarily have to forget. and you don't necessarily have to be all buddy with the person, but at the same time, forgiveness is, it helps to bring you peace and kind of a closure from that situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like just because someone doesn't have a spot in your life anymore doesn't mean that there has to be bad blood.
Exactly.
Or you guys might not, whether it be, an old friend, an ex, maybe a family member you're estranged from, just because you are not in each other's lives anymore and, for whatever reason, doesn't mean you have to talk bad about each other.
Exactly.
You can forgive without having to people be in your life. And it's just, you can have a forgiveness and that you guys can exist separate from each other without, to everyone around you having to tear each other down. So,
yeah. And, if there's a time down the line where you can reconnect with that person and kind of talk about it, I think that's healthy also, to kind of have that closure in that way, to where you kind of have closure for yourself, but having a conversation with somebody, y'all could understand that there's closure on both sides in that situation. So if there's an opportunity to talk to somebody who you may have not talked to in a while, but you've already forgiven, and kind of talk about the situation, I think that's a healthy thing. Yep. Also, if the opportunity presents itself, so a lot of situations are different. There's so many different nuances and everything, but I think that could be a healthy thing for anybody. And sometimes too, someone else could have placed the bomb. Someone else could have placed the bomb under the bridge, and you could detonate it, and you're detonating a bomb that you didn't even place. Yep. So, not forgiving somebody could potentially be you burning a bridge to a bomb under that you didn't even place. Yeah. You just detonated it. So you could have had the opportunity to, go back. But once the bridge is burnt, there's no way to the other side,
I can't swim, so there really is no other way to the other side. That bridge is out. I got no options.
Yeah. But I can't swim either, man. So we're the same on that accord.
We'll look across the river.
Like, Jordan.
I don't know. The bridge is gone. I'm just kind of stuck here.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that's all good. Keep in mind, folks, everybody who's listening, we came into this podcast with not knowing what we were going to talk about. And this is like a great conversation, bro. Every single time we have like an hour conversation before we start recording. And then,
because you were setting up everything.
I was late, and with this new equipment and everything, I was setting everything up, and it takes a good bit to set all this up. So I'll figure out a quicker way to do it and stuff. Maybe I'll keep everything assembled and stuff like that. But yeah, man. Well, I guess what do you want to talk about, man? What do you want to talk about?
Was there something we were going to get back to? I feel like there was something we were going to revisit later, but I don't remember.
I remember I said we would talk about going corral, but we kind of
did that already.
We kind of did talk about that.
It's bad.
Man, I like it, bro. I mean, it
depends on how on topic you want the next couple minutes of this to be, because I got some. If we want to fill time, I got some rants I could go on.
We could go anywhere, bro. We could literally go anywhere. Like, what do you got?
Bojangles is an overrated fast food restaurant.
Whoa!
Yeah, I'll put that up top. That's probably as someone who was born and raised in North Carolina, that is my most controversial opinion.
Whoa!
10 years ago, Bojangles was great. Modern day Bojangles is horrible.
What? So what about Bojangles changed that made you say it's overrated?
I feel like I think the qualities went down. Maybe it's just because like I'm used to like your small town Bojangles, like where I'm from. But modern, I don't know. Maybe it's just the Charlotte Bojangles are bad. Yeah, I don't know. But the worst thing you can do to get me to being the most irritated at a restaurant is to get my order wrong. I'll eat almost anything as long as it's cooked, but just don't get my order wrong. Yeah. And every time I go to Bojangles, it seems like every 4 times I go, at least 2 of them my order's wrong. and it bugs me.
Now,
Bugs me so bad.
I'm not gonna lie, I have noticed that as well. But they don't necessarily get my order wrong. It's either the drink or the sauce. I can't tell you the amount of times I've asked for barbecue. I get the chicken supremes. I'm like, barbecue. I need that barbecue.
You don't get barbecue.
Get honey mustard.
I see. Honey mustard's the worst. I'm not a honey mustard guy. And the thing is, I don't hate Bojangles. Like I just don't think it belongs in the upper echelons of fast food. I think it's like a C tier fast food.
Yeah,
and all its value comes from the fact they have Pepsi. That's where the Bojangles value. I'm a Pepsi guy. That's why I like Taco Bell more than most people, is because they have Pepsi, and I love Pepsi.
Yeah. Nah, but so I have a bias because I like fried chicken, and I know fried chicken isn't the best for you. I know.
Chicken's delicious.
It's
so good.
It's addicting, man. And I'm trying to get better at not eating it too much. I really don't eat it too much, but it's just I know that it's not the healthiest thing in the world to eat.
Yep.
But I have a bias for fried chicken anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so I love Bojangles. I like Popeyes.
I've never been to Popeyes before.
Really?
I've never been.
You never had the
never had Popeyes.
We just heard something.
Someone's trying to break in.
No, but yeah,
there's no Popeyes anywhere close to where I'm from. Like honestly, is there a Popeyes in Winston? If there's a Popeyes in Winston-Salem, the closest one to where I grew up is like an hour and 15 minutes away. Mm-hmm. At that point, I'd rather just go to Chick-fil-A. It's closer.
Now, Chick-fil-A,
Chick-fil-A is delicious.
Yeah,
I do love Chick-fil-A. That's the Lord's chicken. That's the Lord's chicken is Chick-fil-A.
Hey, I mean, they're closed on Sundays.
Exactly. So. That's a holy establishment. But like the only time I ever choose to go to Bojangles other than Chick-fil-A is a Sunday because I have to, or if I want a Pepsi rather than, it's like my want for Pepsi. Am I willing to sacrifice for worse mediocre chicken to get a Pepsi than to get the great chicken but with a sweet tea?
Yeah.
And sometimes I want the Pepsi.
Yeah. You just it's just a matter of what you're craving, I guess.
Have you ever had Raising Cane's?
I have heard of it. I've
never had it.
Really?
I want to try it so bad.
I do as well. I don't think there's one near us.
2 hours away. It's like in Clemson.
Yeah.
Or Clemson University. There's one close by to it.
Yeah. And I have heard of it, though. There's some people I work with that I have a coworker who went to Auburn. I think there's one down there near Auburn, Alabama, and stuff like that. I think they have one close to Charleston. Mm-hmm. So I may go there. I may try it. We're having the whole office Christmas event in Charleston this year. So I may.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay, you work for the right company. Is it overnight?
Yeah, the main office is in Charleston, or the main office is in Mount Pleasant.
Yeah,
but it's near Charleston.
Yep.
So I think there's one near there. So I may try it whenever I'm on the way back. But
that's another opinion of mine. There is nothing good about South Carolina outside of Charleston.
Really?
Yes. Myrtle Beach is terrible.
Now, yeah.
Don't argue with me on this. Myrtle Beach is dog water.
Yeah, if you live in North Carolina, Myrtle Beach is probably the most popular beach, but
the Dirty Myrtle, it's earned its reputation.
Yeah, if you visit, if you don't live in North Carolina, or not, if you don't live in North Carolina or South Carolina and you come to visit, you can go to see what we're talking about, but
the roads are so bad it will knock every filling in your tooth out because you're going to be jumping the whole time. Yeah. And like there's just nothing. There's nothing in South Carolina other than Charleston. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Charleston is nice. It's a nice small town. And, we both grew up in, pretty small towns.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure Allegheny is smaller than Indian Trail, probably.
Yes, it is.
Because Indian Trail used to be pretty small, but it's grown a bit in terms of...
Did you go to a public school or a private school?
Public.
How big was your graduating class?
I think it was less than 200 people.
Mine was 86.
Oh, yep. You got me beat, bro. 86?
86 people. Our graduation was 45 minutes.
That's beautiful.
It was great. It was June on a football field. I wanted to get out of there quick.
I mean, ours went by pretty quick too because we had a small class too, but 86 and only 45 minutes. Hey, you can't go wrong.
They
with
got that ball rolling. It was great.
Man. Yeah, but growing up in a small town, it makes you appreciate a lot more, and I think it really gives you perspective on a lot of things because there's not too many things to do in a small town, and so you kind of have to create opportunities for yourself to find things to do.
Yep.
And one thing I'm grateful for is me and my family have always been really close, so we can have a good time just driving around and doing nothing and just having conversation in the car. Exactly.
And I will say the older I get, I don't think I could ever live in Allegheny County again just because there is nothing to do. But I will say the older I get, the more I enjoy going back there for like 2 or 3 days at a time and just kind of getting a reset, a little break from, because I love my life here in Charlotte, but sometimes it's just nice getting a little break and kind of getting to go back up there, reset a little bit, and then come back down to Charlotte. Kind of get like my head in a good space, kind of just a reset, and because it is a lot quieter up there, and a lot less. There's a lot less going on, so it's kind of nice to just reset, remember where I came from, and then back to Charlotte I go.
Yeah, because you're going back to your source, right? You're going back to your origin, right? And you think about a phone. When you plug your phone up, you're connecting it to its source, and it's getting batteries, getting charged. People charge their phone overnight, so all the phone's doing is collecting energy. It's not being used, right? When you're in Charlotte with so many different things to do, it can get easy to get drained because you're using your energy for a lot of things. We use our phones for social media, watching videos, different apps and stuff like that, even work. Our phone's energy is being poured into a bunch of different things. And this is analogy.
I have to use my phone for work. They pay my cell phone bill, which is nice. But like my phone's constantly going off when I'm at work, and I like there's sometimes like on a week my screen time will top out like 8.5 hours a day.
Man,
it's insane. I'm just like I feel like I haven't been on it that much. It's like, it's like 8 hours a day, and I'm like that's a problem.
That's crazy, and I don't know where that comes from either. But I guess I listen to podcasts and sometimes music throughout work, so I guess that includes.
I would say like YouTube. I don't pay for YouTube Premium.
Oh, me neither.
Because I'm poor. I just like I don't hate ads that much that I'm going to pay for YouTube Premium. But like you can't close, like your phone has to be on and like open. Like you can't lock your phone screen when you have a YouTube going. That's how I listen to all my podcasts. And I'm just like that probably has something to do with it.
Yeah.
But my phone's just constantly emails, phone calls.
Yeah.
But
and sometimes when I preach, I put my phone's screen timeout on never because I have the clock on there to time myself to make sure I don't go over. And sometimes I forget to turn it off of never, and so I go to sleep and I wake up and my YouTube went from basketball to like a lion eating a deer or something like that. Like
the algorithm's crazy,
and the video is still going. So how you can press the back button and go to previous videos. Sometimes I just sit there and go back all the way to see where.
How did I mess up my my recommended screen today? All mine's sports related.
Oh, really?
Yep. There's very little content on there that isn't related to football or basketball. Yeah,
that's mainly how mine is too. Mine is mainly that or like a sermon or something.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how much time flies by when you're on your phone and stuff like that. But yeah, like you were saying, going back to Allegheny, you're going back to your source, and that's kind of, since there's not so much to do there, you're naturally just resting.
Yep.
And that's how I feel when I'm at home, in Indian Trail. Going when I'm out, at work, I don't really do much anyways. I go to work and go home.
Yep. That's what I do a lot of the time.
Yeah. It's just a simple life,
Yep.
But yeah, when I'm at home, I can just kind of rest and recharge for the next day and stuff like that. So yeah, it's always good to go back to, especially if you're from a small town, it's always good to go back and just kind of rest, just exist,
Yeah, because it's when I go back home, it's typically me, my mom, my brother, and my stepdad.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
It's quiet, it's peaceful. We got a good amount of land. And it's very different from Charlotte. And I couldn't see myself living there again, but it is nice to have the ability to go back there and just kind of reset, clear your mind, and just get decompressed. Because, like I said, between work, and there's a lot of times I just feel like I'm always going. I'm always somewhere. There's always something to be done. And when I go up to Allegheny, I just know, like, for 2 days, I really don't have anything to do.
Exactly.
And it's nice. It's relaxing. It's peaceful. And it's a good break.
Yeah, for sure, man. But yeah, man.
I'm trying to think if there's one more controversial opinion I have to end us on.
Hey, like I said, we can go anywhere, man. So
I think of one that's really I think soccer's a terrible sport.
Whoa. What makes you say that?
I don't get the appeal of soccer. Maybe because I never played soccer, but I don't get the appeal of it. I don't know.
I guess it makes sense that you say that.
You're just running around kicking a ball, and the thing is, like at like high level soccer, like the European like level soccer, you're there for like 2.5 hours, and the score is 1-0, and I'm just like. Everyone rags on baseball, but acts like soccer's the most exciting thing on the planet, and I'm like, you're kidding me.
Keep talking.
I just don't get it. It is, it's pretty lame. I'm not gonna lie. I like baseball better than soccer.
I feel that, man.
I just don't get it. It's so popular worldwide. But
yeah, it's. I think its popularity kind of helps to. It's such a popular sport in other countries. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the first, because the first sport a lot of people play here in America isn't soccer. And I mean, obviously, there's a lot of soccer.
We do it
here.
Right.
Come on, man.
I think my first sport was baseball. If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah,
it was baseball, basketball, then football.
Yeah. Mine was basketball first, and then I got into football afterwards.
Yep. And you didn't play soccer, and that's important because we do it right here in America. We keep soccer out.
Oh man, Messi's here in America though.
He is.
I mean that's.
I mean, it's exciting. If you like soccer, I guess. I don't know. I just saw how much no one cares about Charlotte FC. Their tickets are dirt cheap, but the game Messi came. They skyrocketed. I'm like, is it that? Like, I don't. And they lost. Like, I'm pretty sure we beat Miami or what? Inter Miami?
I forget if we won or lost. I mean, I don't really keep too much up with soccer, but I do.
It's not worth it. I don't understand it.
I mean, it's during the World Cup. It's entertaining. I think partly because you can kind of tell the players are more. They know more is at stake.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't usually just turn on a soccer game and watch it.
Yeah.
But if it's the World Cup, I'll watch it because there's other people watching it too, and it could be a good time when you're with other people watching it.
Yeah.
But it's not something I just turn on and watch. So I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
I think college basketball is a lot better than NBA basketball.
Ah, man. Why?
Because the NBA has too many games.
True. I agree.
It's ultimately speaking, it's not a good. I don't think it's good basketball until it's the postseason when everyone just decides, you know what, we're ready to play defense now. But college basketball is great. I think they play a lot more. I think I just like the style of college basketball. I think the style they play with a lot better because I think in the NBA it's a lot more ISO centric, where in college there's a lot more ball movement.
Yeah,
and this is how I was always taught how to play basketball. It's very ball movement. I don't know. I just like it better.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been an NBA person. I feel like I've disagreed with every single controversial opinion you've said so far.
I'm trying to find a heater to end this on, but I'm struggling. I'm full of them. Mayonnaise is awful, but everyone can agree on that. Do you like mayonnaise?
It depends on what it's used with.
I got it. The one I get hated the most for. I don't like barbecue. That's when I get so much hate for.
We may have to end on
I get so much hate for that as a North Carolina born and raised kid. I don't like barbecue. Pulled pork is gross. Yeah, I said it. Pulled pork. I don't like pork. I don't like the texture of pork. So like I'll eat bacon and that's it. Like, but as a whole, I just don't eat pork. I don't think it's. And then barbecue sauce isn't that good.
Well,
I can list a long list of dipping sauces that are better than barbecue, and I will die on the hill. I will say barbecue though. The barbecue places, their sides are fantastic.
Yes,
but they ruin it by serving pulled pork. Ribs are also overrated, but I would rather have ribs than a pulled pork sandwich.
Well, I'm
not providing a lot of pushback on these.
I can't say I feel where you're coming from because
you know I'm right.
No, I'm not a very picky eater, and I don't think you're picky either. But I like a lot more. I'm more tolerant of a lot of certain foods than you are. It seems like.
Oh no, I love food so much. I will not eat something that I know I don't like. If I'm spending money on food, I want my order to be right, and I want to know I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But burgers are great.
Okay.
Burger. I love burgers. Probably my favorite food. It or grilled shrimp.
Okay.
But the girlfriend's allergic to shrimp, so I've really had to curve the amount I can eat it, which is heartbreaking. But
yeah. Hey, self-reflection. If you thought that you were perfect, maybe you would have been like, oh, since you don't like shrimp, nah.
She likes it, but she's allergic to it. That's the thing. It's just like the dangerous combination.
Yeah.
It's like, you can still eat it. Like, I'm not going to send you into shock because I insist on having grilled shrimp.
Yeah.
Turn around, face is all poofy. I'm like, I'm not doing that. That's too dangerous of a game. I'll just get a burger and be fine.
Yeah.
But
I got to bring you back on for part 3 though, man, to dive more into, and I think we had a good conversation, with the relationships today, but I do want to bring you back on for part 3 sometime soon, man, to kind of dive into that, man, your relationship and kind of how you've grown as a person. But we're a little over now, but keep that in mind. We'll definitely be back for part 3, man. So I appreciate you coming on again, bro. I was late. I was a little late today, so the fact that you were still here waiting, thank you for that.
I didn't beat you here by that much. It was like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too bad of a wait.
Yeah.
Leave a like and comment if you also think barbecue is trash. It is trash.
There's not going to be a lot of likes and comments for that one, man.
But the true smart people will agree that barbecue is gross. Like pork, even one last thing.
Yeah.
Pork chops are the worst food ever.
Pork chops?
Pork chops.
Man.
Have you ever had a pork chop?
Yeah.
You like it?
I mean, I haven't had it often, but the few times I have, like
a pulled pork sandwich is tolerable.
Mm-hmm.
And I can suck it up and eat a pulled pork sandwich. Mm-hmm. I'm not eating a pork chop. I don't understand. They're dry. The texture's bad.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. Again, personal opinion that I know I'm right. And Taco Bell's good fast food.
I think you would be a good person to be a judge for like a food show because you won't be.
I love cooking shows.
Yeah, you'll give a good opinion. It's not like, oh, I don't just like it. You actually give context for why
if you put pork in my dish, you're out. Unless it's bacon, you're fine if it's bacon. I want to try chorizo to see if I'd like it. Okay, I keep dragging this on because I keep getting distracted.
Hey, unplanned part 2, right?
Yep.
But yeah, man, again, I appreciate you for being on here, bro. Everybody who made it to this part, the end of this episode, I appreciate you. I apologize for us kind of in the last 20 minutes kind of just going off on.
I gave him a warning.
Yeah, we did give a warning. But yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure to hit that follow and give a rating, give a comment or a review. It'll be greatly appreciated. I just want to hear what y'all think about each episode. If y'all are watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's free. Just go ahead and take that extra mile, take that extra step, and hit that subscribe button. That'll be greatly appreciated, and it'll just be greatly appreciated. And yeah, leave a comment, leave a like on the video, help get this message and these episodes into the ears of more people. That'd be greatly appreciated. And yeah, thank you for listening. I think those are the only streaming platforms that I have everything on. I do Google Podcasts as well, but I don't think too many people use Google Podcasts. So if you are listening from there, you're very unique, and I'm thankful for you. If you're on there, go ahead and follow, leave a review and a comment or anything like that. It'd be greatly appreciated. Also, make sure to go check out thereclassified.com. That is my blog where I post different things, just things that the Lord places on my heart to share. So if you have some time, just go ahead and read through some of those blogs. Again, that's thereclassified.com. I have it popped up over here, wherever I put it. If I pointed at the wrong place, sorry, but whatever. But yeah, make sure you go ahead and check that out. Also, I attend East City Church. And so if you're looking for a church home and you live in the Charlotte area or around Charlotte, come check us out here at East City Church. We have a great community here, and we would love to have you. Something that we always say is you're not just welcome, but you're wanted. You know, we want to build meaningful relationships with one another, get involved in the community, and grow our faith family. So if you're looking for a church home, and even if you're not necessarily looking for a church home, you're looking for somewhere to visit, come check us out at East City Church. We're here in the Mora area, here off Monroe Road in Charlotte. So go ahead and check us out. I think I got everything, so thank y'all again for tuning in. My brother Jordan, thank you again for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And we will, say it again.
Thanks for having me.
I forgot to switch it, so there we go.
There you go.
I'm going to leave that in too, who cares? But yeah, thank you again for being here, man, and we will see y'all storytellers next time. Peace out.
Oh.
Peace.
I feel alone, my Abba. Here on this road, my Abba. A long way from home I've traveled. Lord, I just need your light. Where have I gone, my Father? I sing the song.